Okay, so the tomatoes have simmered now good for 10 minutes. They're good and hot. And I'm going to use this strainer to strain some of the fluid off. So it's a little metal strainer that Danette purchased. And we're just going to strain a lot of that clear liquid off. We're going to have some in the jar, but we just don't want half the jar of tomatoes, half of it just liquid. This will ensure us getting, good tomato packed jar. And so once it's basically kind of about to start dripping, I'm going to go ahead and add so we keep fluid in it. We're just going to keep doing that till we fill the jars up one by one. And when we fill the jars up, I'll show you how we one other thing, what we like to do, and I'll show you that, is you have to add canning salt, a teaspoon to each jar. And so if you're doing a pint, it would be a half a teaspoon, but quarts, you need a teaspoon. And I'll show you that on our next jar. So we use canning salt. It's canning or pickling salt for canning anything. We're going to put a teaspoon in the jar at the bottom. And then I didn't show you that on the first one, so and this can be, when you're straining it, it's a little tedious because you just have to wait to get that liquid off. But to me, the time is worth it because you get a jar like this right here, and you want to leave about a half inch to half inch from the top of the jar, and so we'll stop at about right there. That's a pretty looking jar of tomatoes. And we use these tomatoes for soups, chili, spaghettis, anything you want. If you want to make, put tomatoes in burritos or burrito mix, anything you want with tomatoes. This is fantastic to just be able to pop one of these open and put it in there. So it's like having your own basic tomato sauce. And we will actually, at times, and we may do a video on that, we'll make some Italian tomatoes. And basically we just add some Italian herbs and spices that we like, and add the tomatoes, and it gives us a wonderful thing to make spaghetti with, or lasagna, or anything like that. But a little time consuming, but it's worth it. Very much worth it. Boy, those tomatoes, they smell so good. And I've already got a pot on the stove that once I get these in, wipe the rims. We're going to seal up the jars, put them down in the water, and bring it to a boil for 45 minutes. And I said we'd probably get about 7 to 8 jars out of this if we were using all the liquid. I didn't account for the liquid. So really, we might get 5 jars. We'll see, of just the tomatoes. And so if you can't grow your own tomatoes, find a local tomato farm, someone that grows tomatoes, and you can can these up for yourself, and they're just much better. I mean, if you can keep these things on the shelf for a long time, so you can can several up. And when the tomatoes are coming in fresh, you can find you-picked tomatoes. At least in our area, we can find you-picked tomatoes sometimes for $12, $15 for a 5-gallon bucket, which is 25 to 30 something pounds of tomatoes. And that will make you, for 12, I probably didn't have quite 30 pounds of tomatoes in here, maybe 20, 25. So, for $12 in your jars, you might get 6 quarts of this tomato stuff that you can use for, salsa, sauces and things like that. So it's way better than what you get in the store. taste way better. I remember the first time I made some chili with these fresh tomatoes, it was like, oh my goodness, that's so good. Just changes the flavor. But you see we're getting close to there, and there's some liquid in it, but it's mainly tomatoes, and that's what we want. A little liquid, plenty of tomatoes. So we're going to get somewhere about right there and stop. Slide it to the side. It's a little harder to strain this cold packed. That's why I like to cook it, because it actually starts to separate some of the water out of the tomato, and you can get some of that good tomato juice in there. But when you cold pack it, and if you've mushed it together, it's a little thicker, so it's harder to separate it. So I'm not 100% sure, but I firmly believe that even if you cold pack this and you didn't cook the tomatoes down, by the time you cook it, you'd still have a pretty good amount of possible separation in the liquid and tomato in there. Anyways, this is just something that you can do for yourself, your family. It just takes a little time instead of watching TV and all the things that are going on with that today. Do something productive. Show love and share love by making products for people. The nice thing about these things is they make great gifts too. If you're thinking, what can I do for someone, for Christmas or whatever, or if you've got some good canned items that you put up, makes a great little gift basket. But we'll finish up these jars, and then I'll show you as we place them in the hot bath, and then show you the final results. Okay, so we're ready to put we got 5 quarts of the tomatoes. Of course, we had probably about 2 or 3 quarts of just juice. And Danette was talking about what can we do with the juice, and I didn't think about it till she mentioned after the fact that you can actually, keep you some tomato juice itself, just like you would buy in the store. So anyways, before we put these in this hot bath, we're going to use a little vinegar. And you don't need much, but we'll just put a little bit of vinegar in there, and what that does is help keep the jars from getting cloudy. And so we're going to put the tomatoes in, and I've got it's not too bad, you can use your hand, but this is probably the safest way to do it. And we're going to put all 5 in this pot. Have a smaller pot. We have a smaller pot, but Eric was using it next door at his house, canning the other night, so I was too lazy to go get it. But now we have these spaced out in this pot, and we're going to let those go for 45 minutes. And when the timer's off, we'll show you the finished product. Put this lid on just like that. Okay, so 45 minutes is up. We're going to take tomatoes out, and we're going to put them on a towel. We're going to set them right here. Just something that we can let them cool on. These are 5 pretty jars of tomatoes right there, y'all. And we'll show you the difference, and we'll actually test the difference of if there is a difference between the cold pack. So here's a cold pack tomato, what it looks like, and then here's a hot pack tomato and what it looks like. And so we'll see. We'll see what the difference is, if they taste different. But we're going to let those completely cool, and they're ready to go. The jars will pop, and canned tomatoes.